Have you heard about a simple report tracker? Well, I'm going to be showing you how to build a simple report tracker, a simple grading results report tracker. So to start with, what is a report tracker? What is a simple report tracker? There could be a lot of, report tracker and all like that. But what we're working here is a result grading report tracker. And what this is going to be showing us, it's going to be a system that is going to get an input from the user. And what are these inputs? Is a student scores, student's name, and then it's going to print out the results, like the performance of this particular or those particular students. It's going to print it out for them instead of a user having to put them down himself. It's going to print them out and save them in a particular directory or a particular cloud or anything. So, well, what we're doing here, we're not going down to the back side of it, of the cloud. And what we're doing here is just the surface, which is how to build a simple result tracker. So now let's get into the video. We're going to be needing 4 different kind of things to complete this task. We're going to be needing a variable. We're going to be using data type A or a data type or 2, which is not entirely important, but sometimes it's necessary. And then we're going to be using conditional statements. And lastly, we're going to be using prints. I know many of us must have heard about these prints when it comes to programming and all, Python and all prints. So to start with, we're going to create a variable. Well, what is a variable? A variable is just like a house. It just house things, house user inputs for further use. Like, okay, just to house things. So to start with, we're going to create a variable. We're going to create 2 variables. The first variable is going to be student name. Student name is going to be student name. Student name. It's going to be student name, and we're going to assign it an input. And what this input does is just to tell the computer that is going to be asking us a question. It's going to asking us a question. So now, what is student's name? Or let's just make it easy. Let's just student name. So like I said, this input is just to ask us a question, ask the user a question. And then our second variable is going to be student score. This is the one that is going to house the student score. Student score. And then we'll do the same thing again, inputs, and then we'll ask for the student score. Student score. So that is that. But before we go ahead, like I said, we're going to be using data types. And what are these data types? They're just a representative, just to let the system stick to one particular thing. For a student score, we cannot have what we're doing here for the student score. We're not doing A, B, C grading system. We're doing excellence, good, and all. So, and when we talk about student score, you won't see a student score of like A. It's the grade that is A. Is the grade that is excellent, but the score in particular are numbers. So to make the computer stick, the system stick to numbers, we are going to have to, because numbers are integers. They call numbers integers in Python. Numbers integers. So we're going to stick with a number. We're going to stick with integers, just int, just to tell the system that stick to int, and then it's going to bring out an error if we put maybe an alphabet or something. So to start with, we're going to start with a conditional statement. If is a conditional statement. So now we're going to see if the student score, normally in a normal student grading system, it is never more than 100. So firstly, the first thing we have to tell the system is that if a score comes up that is more than 100, and note, whenever you're writing the if statement, a conditional statement, at the beginning, it must end with a double colon. Yeah, it must end with that. And then we should never forget the indentation. In fact, it's going to automatically indent for us. As far as that's, if you look at it, it's not indenting here, but as far as this particular double column is here, it's automatically indent for us, because if it doesn't indent, it's going to run, it's going to disrupt all of our code. So now, if a student score is more than 100, of course, that's not supposed to be. Print, we're going to tell it to print, enter a score between 1 to 100. It shouldn't be more than, it shouldn't be less than 1 or more than 100. So that is the first conditional statement. Then we have the else if. Else if, that is, okay, what if the score is not more than 100? That's just what it means. Else if, let's say we want the student score is, let's just use the normal grading system. Normal grading system of, let's say the university level. So normal grading, so if the student score is greater than 70, end it again, print, if student score is greater than 70, we print, let's just say, graded A. So I'm going to be needing this for later. So I'm going to be needing this for later. So let me just copy it. Okay. So graded A. And again, if a score is 70, if a score is 70 on the dots, you know what? We're going to go back to that. I just want us to see something there. So let's go to the next thing. Else if, again, what if the score is not up to 70? So else if student's score is greater than, we have a C, I think C starts from, okay, B rather, is greater than 60. B starts from 60. It's greater than 60. Do the same thing again. Print graded B. Let's do the same thing. What if it's not up to 60? Else if student score is greater than 50. Do the same thing again. Print, paste it. That's why I said I was going to be needing it again. Graded C. Okay, what if the score is less than 50? See, these things we are doing is just simple English, but then we have to put it in a way that Python, the system, is going to understand. What if it is greater than, what if it is less than 50? Okay, so we have 45. 45, that is print D. Okay, D. And lastly, we use the else statement. Else, say else, that is if it is less than 45. If it is less than 44 rather, then it should be F else. We don't need to, we don't need to put the student score there, because we already told it that else, once it is less than, anything less than 45, just give us as F. So we print say graded F. So now we have created the conditional statements. Okay, we have created the conditional statements. So these are the conditional statements. These are the things that house all the grade from 1 to 100. So now we want to print out this particular thing. So we can say want to print everything out that, okay, when the system asks for, when the system asks for this particular things here, this student name and student score, when we input the score, it's going to go on and check where the score you like fixed, the score you input, where does that score fall into? So we're going to, when it falls there, then it's now going to run the next line of code I want to run, which is print. So now we're telling it to, print, say, let's just say student name is equal to, so there's this particular thing they call f string. F string is, is so that you can call a student, so that you can call a variable inside, because this particular thing, once you say print and you use this double quotes at the top here, double quotes is automatically going to change everything to a string for you, but you want a variable inside of a string. That's what the f string does. So now we're going to call the student name variable, because we want it to be student name. So it's going to be student name. So what this is going to do is going to print this out and then and save print out the name that we give the student name at the top here when it's asked for it, and print it out here. So, and then we have the student score as well. We have the student score as well. Print, we have print, we use the f string again, because we're going to be naming for the student score. Let's just say score. So we're going to call this, the student score. And take note, anytime you want to call a variable inside of a string, inside of a print function, we're going to be using the curly brackets. Take note of that. We're going to be using the curly brackets. We're going to be using a curly brackets. So, yes, okay. Yes, so we're going to be printing this. We're going to be printing it inside of this scope here. Okay, inside of this scope here, and then this should come last. Okay, so, and that is that about our code. So let's run it. So it's asking for the student name. Let's say the student name is Daniel. What is the student score? The student score is, let's say the student score is 60. Said the student score is graded C. It's telling us that the student score is graded C. So okay, I think there is an error here. There is an error here. Okay, let's do this again. Let's just say done. 60. Okay, exactly. So this is exactly what I, wanted to run. Graded C, the student name Dan, and then the student score. So that is it. And then we want to, okay, what is the next thing? Okay, yes, I made mention of something I was going to come back to. Said the student score is 60, but in our normal grading system, this 60 is supposed to be graded B, not C. And why is that? It's because when we say, one thing about Python is a Pythonic way. When we say something is greater than 60, Python automatically assumes, okay, so when we say score greater than 60 is score greater is graded C, that means score greater than 50. And then here we say greater than 60. So this 50, it reads from 51 to 60. It doesn't read from 50. While this 60 reads from 61 to 70. doesn't read from 60. So if we want it to actually read from 60, we're going to use the equal to. We're going to use the greater than or equal to, greater than or equal to, what is it? Greater than or equal to, here. Also going to use this greater than or equal to here. We're also going to use greater than or equal to here. So let's run it again. Daniel, let's say 60. This time we got the grade as B as it should be. We have completely built a student report tracking system.